Several years ago, the FBI were involved in like a treasure hunt. Okay, it was like a Civil War treasure dig. Like a Civil War treasure hunter approached the FBI and asked them if they would help him uncover this area that he had kind of scanned for metals. So they had like a company come out, and scan, and they did determine that there were metals underground. But the treasure hunter, he needed like large equipment, like heavy machinery to do the dig because it was like pretty deep underground. So the FBI, they agreed to help this treasure hunter like dig in this area of, but it's not in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's in a place called Dent's Run, Pennsylvania. There's an article on NPR about this story, but so they had agreed, okay, we're gonna dig at these hours, and the FBI, kind of roped off the area and weren't letting people go pass through at like all hours. They were like around the clock at that area. But overnight, they dug up the site without the treasure hunter was there, without his knowledge. They secretly dug the the area, the site, and people could hear the machinery overnight. And early in the morning, when the sun was just coming up, they were finishing up, and there were eyewitnesses that saw, the site, and there were armored trucks, those trucks that go to the banks and to stores and collect money. They had two, I think, leaving the site. And the eyewitnesses said, the trucks, they looked like they had been filled. And one of them took a photo of the truck, and that eyewitness, that photo disappeared off of their phone. So they dug the site, but then they found a lot of gold and coins. They found coins and they found gold bars overnight, and then they filled up the pit that they had dug up. They filled everything back up and like made it look like they didn't even touch it, uh, you know, and then they stole it all and took it all away, and then said that they didn't find anything, and they took the coins. They were like gold, silver, Civil War era coins and gold bars. They brought them, so they took them from Pennsylvania, and then they brought them down south to different field offices. And it was like a secret, and only like certain people in the FBI knew. There are usually people with a little bit higher like titles. So the SACs, the SAC of Atlanta, the SAC of Miami, then the assistant SACs, and SSAs, these kinds of people. So yeah, in Atlanta, the SAC, her name is Carrie Farley. She knew about the treasure. Assistant SAC Sean Burke knew about the stolen treasure. The SSA, Chad Hunt, knew, and they were all involved because, so they took it and they split it up, and then they gave different jobs to the different people. Okay, some of you, you're going to be cleaning off the treasure. You're going to be, because it was dirty, it was from 1800s treasure, deep, deep underground. So they're cleaning it off, the different FBI, and cleaning the gold. And then they had certain agents go and sell the individual coins, like using an alias. They're undercover. So, and then, so they had all different people, like they split up all the coins, and then secretly, these people, they sold the coins on places the coins should not have been sold. It was totally out of place. You know, pawn shops and flea markets and Facebook Marketplace, eBay, like, but these were very rare coins. They should have been more sold with like artifacts, you know, rare coins and artifacts. Some was auctioned, but some were just, they got, and they sold them for so cheap for what they were truly worth. And the people who bought the coins knew, okay, you used a chemical polish on this coin. This is like decreasing the value, and you know what you're doing with this? And I mean, a lot of the people that bought the coins too, they didn't know like how valuable they were either. And then they later found out they were actually worth a lot more than what they bought them for. So but yeah, some of it was even done through Facebook Marketplace. And this is just the coins, okay? And then it's everyone that sold the coins, then the money gets pooled together, and then that's split up into bonuses. Okay, cash. Paid through Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. So it's not, you can't like trace it that easy, but you know, Facebook Marketplace you can, and pawn shops. And so okay, that's the coins, but then there were a lot of gold bars, millions of dollars worth of gold bars. And what did they do with those? Okay, so this is the part that it's like unbelievable. And you know, and this is why it's so bad, and why I said earlier that people are gonna die, because you're not gonna believe it. Like at first you're gonna be, how could somebody be so dumb? But here's truly what happened. Okay, so they got the gold bars, and then they were sold to different places. But there was an agent that went and sold them. So the gold bars were sold to Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai. And they were sold by the previous SAC of Miami, George Pirro. And he's also the agent who interrogated Saddam Hussein before he was executed. He is the person who interrogated Saddam about the WMDs. His name is George Pirro. And George Pirro, after he did that, he later went on to become the special agent in charge of the Miami FBI field office. He's Assyrian and Christian, but spent his childhood in Lebanon until he was around 12 or 13. So he is fluent in Arabic, but he's speaking Assyrian. You know, he's stayed like close to the Assyrian community because when he was 12 or 13, his family immigrated to the United States during a time that there was a war in Lebanon. And they relocated to an area of California called Turlock, where there are a lot of Assyrian population that live there. But George, he's Christian and Lebanese, but he's Assyrian. And yeah, he was selected to interrogate Saddam based on he was really at that time one of the only people that was fluent in Arabic, that was over there, during that time period when he was taken and he was imprisoned and then he was put on trial. And so that was George. And but here's what George did. He took the gold bars in suitcases. He flew commercial. He went through security. He went through passport control. He went through customs in Turkey and Dubai and Saudi Arabia. He got through. And then he sold all of that gold to different families, like some really wealthy families, and also like gold souks. But like the majority of that gold was turned into traditional wedding jewelry. The wedding jewelry sets, like the really, really elaborate ones with like the tiaras, the necklace, the cuff, all of the where you're just covered in gold. Those wedding jewelry. He he sold the gold to those people, like that they're doing that kind of jewelry. Like he found those people, and but he sold the gold. It's like really cheap, like maybe 50% off. And he went over using an alias. They didn't know he's an undercover FBI or that he's the guy that interrogated Saddam. They had no idea. They had no idea that the gold was stolen. He went and he like met a very like they're a wealthy family in Turkey that were getting ready for a wedding. I believe it's a Turkish Afghan couple. They had like a very big luxury wedding, millions dollar, like multi-million dollar wedding, something like this. And George, they used his gold, but this family, they're probably connected with the government. They most likely like have some kind of connections with the Turkish government. So he did that in Turkey, and then and he did in Dubai a lot with the gold souks, all in the like I'm sure that those people that some of those gold souks, like the big ones in Dubai, they'll remember George with the gold. And then in Saudi Arabia, he did that, and he befriended the people, and he sat with them, where they're eating at the same plate. At the same plate, those big dinners, they hosted him for those, and he did that and ate from their plate, but didn't tell them who he was. And okay, so you're thinking, but yeah, but they could still like go and find in the airport, security, the footage. And Christopher Wray got his whole cybersecurity team to wipe all of the data related to George's trips over to Turkey, Dubai, and Saudi Arabia from all of their databases. So, facial recognition and passport control and customs declarations, all of this, and the flight data and for the airlines, because he did like fly like Emirates, and he flew in Dubai. He went through Dubai airport. I'm pretty sure he went in Jeddah, and and he went to Turkey. So the people who worked in the customs during, I want to say it's probably 2019, 2018, 2020, like around 2018, 2019, 2020, like around before the pandemic or during. These people, they will remember George, like coming through. They'll remember because he's so recognizable. He's very tall. He's very handsome. And you just don't forget somebody who's looking. He's very attractive. I'm saying that when you're that attractive, you can get away with a lot. Uh, that's his problem. He's so good looking and he's such a smooth talker, and he's gotten away with a lot. And he was able to get those gold bars through all the security. And I'm not sure what he told them. I think probably he told them it was a gift. Uh, and he went through, but he did go through the whole process, but all of that data was wiped. So, but that was Christopher Wray had his people do that, like his cybersecurity people. So it's a serious crime. Now I'm going to tell you what they did with the money. But yeah, I want that people know about this if I die or I'm injured as well. Because when I approached the FBI, initially about the drone and the surveillance and the spying, and I didn't know about the treasure yet. Like, I hadn't figured it out. But I already knew that they were corrupt. Like, that because Christopher tapped my phone and was spying on me through my phone camera without a warrant, like, from the very beginning, and he was being a creep. He was spying on me through my phone camera. And then when the assassination attempt happened, then he hacked into the cloud. But then around that time is when I found out about that they sold the treasure. But yeah, George got payment in cash. He somehow, because he's worked with criminal type things his whole entire life, he knows how the criminals are working and how they're operating, and there are different little schemes that they're using. And so, of course, he also could do that, And I was shown that all of it was paid in cash. There were trunks filled with cash that were sent, like overseas, for the payment. He didn't take any payment like with electronic or card or bank. There was no, it was all in cash. But the way he did it that there were like trunks of cash that were shipped. So like a real heist, like a heist type thing. So they got the cash, the FBI, and it's so much. But yeah, all the ones that were dealing with the coins and that clean the treasure and that they're doing, they're paying the bonuses. And so those people, they got a little cut of the gold money. Okay? So it's like the SAC of Atlanta, Carrie Farley, she got maybe it's like between 35 and 50K cash bonus. But it's not, she didn't get it on her paycheck, but if she was depositing a lot of cash in her account around this time frame, that's where it's coming from. It's the treasure payouts. But yeah, George took a lot, and I do think that that was a stupid decision that Christopher let George go over there. But like I said, George is such a smooth talker, and he can speak the language, and he knew that if he did it himself, he's getting a bigger cut of the money. So yeah, I want to do it, and they let him do that. But a large percent of the money that was generated from the sale of the stolen treasure, Christopher took that for himself, like a large portion of it. And he bought a villa in Tuscany in cash. And this villa, it currently sits abandoned. because they're actually in federal court right now. Just the federal court is just trying to determine if they did the dig. You know, I told you the dig that happened overnight. They're just trying to figure out that. No, they did the dig and they took the treasure and they sold it. And there's an abandoned villa now somewhere in Tuscany. I believe it's the Massa Carrara region, somewhere by the beach, that he purchased and using an alias. And then another really terrible thing that he did is, you know, I told you he was spying on me through my phone camera. He did that to another girl. So, you know, Christopher, he went to an Ivy League school. I think he went to either, I think it was Yale or Harvard, one of those. He started looking online for girls that went to Cambridge University, the University of Cambridge in the UK. You know, it's a good school, and that was maybe a fantasy for him. To find a girl that's a college girl. So he found somebody. And then he got interested in her, and he's tapped her phone, started spying on her through her phone camera, and then like approached her online for like a relationship, like a sugar baby, a sugar daddy, that kind of relationship. But she had no idea that he had been looking at her through her phone camera, and he had actually, stalked her from Cambridge, and then he's approaching her, you know, in another different, and using an alias. And this girl, she's not British. She's from Canada. Her name is Alexis Wagner, and she works for the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and she lives in Ontario. And she had no idea that the person that approached her online is the director of the FBI. And so Christopher, he lured Alexis to Tuscany with the promise of money, a car, and he, you know, invited her to come and stay with him. So she agreed. And I think he purchased a car for her, but paying in cash, and it was like delivered. But so yeah, they spent time at the villa together. They were at the beach. They were in restaurants. There were people in the town that saw them together. And then they took a helicopter ride in Florence together. And I believe that there were other passengers on the helicopter. And just the pilot should remember. But it was like an abusive type of experience, I think, for her. At one point, you know, they were drinking a lot, and he didn't use a condom with her, and she had to do like the Plan B thing, and it was like he wasn't supportive, but I was shown that actually would have resulted in a pregnancy, like he, you know. And then another time she was too drunk, and there was anal sex, but then she was too drunk to consent, and then the next day she's not happy about it. But I'm sure he was like, well, you know, I bought you a car, so I'm gonna do whatever I want. Kind of like that was like the attitude. But after she went back home, like he ghosted her, and she had photos of them together in Tuscany, and he went in and did that, like hacked her phone and deleted all the photos off her phone. The villa's abandoned. Okay, so if I die or if I'm injured, there is a villa. I believe it's in Massa Carrara, and Christopher will probably try to cover it up. He could try to get to sell it. Um, but like there could be even DNA evidence in that villa of Alexis. Um, and that villa was purchased with the Dent's Run treasure that was stolen, and it was sold to Turkey, Dubai, and Saudi Arabia by George Piro. Um, and the people in the town, they definitely know, they remember Christopher there. Like he did go there with his family, and the local people, like at the little shops, because it's like a small, so there's like a shop, that his grocery store. So he was there for a while, and then he just disappeared, and now the villa's just sitting empty. So people are like noticing that. And when he had the treasure money, like, I mean, he just had so much of it, the cash, and so he's spending it like crazy, and he would eat out a lot, like really fancy, like restaurants, and like he would always get the seafood, like the lobster and crab. So all over Italy and all over Tuscany, and especially in that little town where he's just eating so much lobster. And those restaurant owners, they'll remember him because he will. If I die or I'm injured, like he'll try to cover up his crimes with the treasure and Alexis. And no, you can prove it because there was a helicopter ride, and but even if Alexis is killed, because they could kill her too, just because that happened to her. And but then you would just ask the locals. I believe it was Massa Carrara, but Alexis would tell you where. So he did that, and then he took a trip to Vegas with the cash, and he chartered like a private plane, and he paid the entire thing in cash, everything in cash. So, and he's there with his wife. He did this one with his wife, Helen. And they gambled in all the big casinos. And they ate in all the restaurants, especially the ones that are doing the lobster and crab. The giant, those, and the tomahawk steaks, the big. This is what he is eating every day, all day. And even like he made the restaurants like run out of crab. Like that's how much. So, okay, he's there, he's dining, he's gambling. And then at one point, there was a jackpot that was won on the slots. Like maybe a $50,000 jackpot. Like he won like a large amount of money. It was definitely over like $35,000. Because he's got all this cash, he's just gambling with it, like, and doing playing really high bets, and he got a big jackpot. So, but he had the cybersecurity people from the FBI go and wipe all of that data after he won the jackpot. And when he gambled, because they take your photo, they take your information when you're gambling in those, and when you win a jackpot, yeah, they take your information and they get all of that from you. They get all of that but he had his team, people like Chad Hunt, who I told you he's the SSA. He's a cybersecurity person in Atlanta. That, like, people like that to go and clean all of that. So all of the data of his stay at the hotel, in his gambling, and then the jackpot win was totally deleted and purged from the systems. But him and his wife, they were dining, the lobster, the crab, and then they went and shopped for, like Hermes and Louis Vuitton, like really expensive, like handbags and like handbags and luggage, and this kind of designer in the casinos. They will have like a luxury designer shops, and they were going in those shops at the same time that they were gambling and paying in cash, for really expensive handbags, like 15,000 or $20,000, piece of luggage, or like a Louis Vuitton, like the they spent so even those workers, it's possible that they'll remember Christopher and Helen in there together. So there, Christopher, he tried to delete it all and cover it all up, you know, from the airport databases, to the Vegas. He did a lot of deleting, and but there's still eyewitnesses. And another thing I wanted to mention now is that when I reported to DHS that Antoine had murdered LaShawn Massey and that they had flown together commercial to Jamaica, Christopher Ray went and he also deleted Antoine and LaShawn's flight data that they had together. Like he went in and did that, so it was harder to prove. Because he knew that, Antoine attempted to murder me and the whole MK Ultra thing, but I found out about Christopher Ray's crimes. I knew about Alexis. I knew about the treasure. I knew about Tuscany. I knew about George. So on purpose, he deleted that. And that's why I told DHS, please just talk to the bartenders because Christopher's deleted this data. But LaShawn could possibly have a passport that may have a stamp still in it from Jamaica. But, if I die or I'm injured, people do need to know that Antoine, he did travel there with her. He drugged her at the resort, and then he later drugged her and she wandered into that lake. And he did that to me, and then he probably was going to drug me in that car. Remember I told you that I jumped out of? But Christopher went and he deleted that. So this is why the digital stamps for the passports, it's a really bad idea. You should have the paper. The paper, the hard copy. It's all the digital stuff. It's very easy to hack into, and but they did that to the Saudi Arabia, and I don't think MBS would be happy about that, especially with George, and for George to sit and share a meal and share from the same plate, and he really betrayed those people and their trust and their hospitality. And at one point I lived in Egypt for a little while. I worked in resorts on the Red Sea, and I was really close to the border with Israel. I lived in a place called Taba, and it's about 20 minutes from Eilat, Israel. And across, you can see Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Israel. It's just maybe 20 miles across the Red Sea to Saudi Arabia. So I know a little bit about like Islam, and I was married to a Muslim guy for about 7 years, and he taught me a lot about the religion, and going over there, I really did enjoy it, and I especially like the hospitality. I think, So I know that they did treat George very well, and they probably, hosted him to a lot of fancy dinners, and there were probably, I would assume there were photos that were taken of George when he was with these groups selling the gold, and he sold it at such a great price that they were all probably very happy. Um, so people will remember him, and so that leads me to the next thing that I'm going to tell you that's going to happen is and you shouldn't, like, don't repeat this, because there's more, there's um the person, that's using the drone, and we want to be able to like catch them, and there's a whole way that this is going to go down, and it's not good if we're leaking information. So here's the thing: George is going to get a heart attack. Whatever they stole the gold, and he sold it to those places, and he's going to die of a heart attack, and it's because of what he did. And he does like professional, like jujitsu, but he's going to die doing that. But then it's going to be made to look natural, but it's happening because of the treasure. But even more than that, there's other things, there's things with Miami. Okay. I'll tell you another thing that's going to happen. I'm telling you this because if I die, and I don't really even trust my own government right now I feel like my own government could cover up my death and delete, I've backed up my Facebook, I've backed up all my music, because I'm so afraid Christopher Wray is just going to try to delete everything, or Elon. So yeah, I'm going to have to start telling other people, and but here's the thing, like they will try to delete things, but they have to be, people need to know that the treasure was stolen, and that George really did that, and that's a huge like crime, and like betrayal, and it's extremely corrupt. So, and that's why I don't want them dealing with the drone, because they're gonna do the same thing, like with the treasure. Like they'll do it with the people in the cloud and trying to get paydays. Okay. Okay, now what I'll say with Miami is there's a boat called Icon of the Seas, and please don't repeat this, but because this is something, but this is, if I die, then I want that this comes out. But this boat, Icon of the Seas, is the largest cruise ship in the world right now, and it's fueled by LNG technology. It's liquid natural gas. They have massive fuel tanks in this ship, but the LNG for cruise ships is relatively new, and never for a ship this large have they used that. So I was shown that the LNG tanks are compromised, and that eventually they are going to fail. There's going to be like a leak with the fuel tanks, and then some type of catastrophic accident. It's possible that it's like a lightning strike, like a big storm with lightning strikes, but it's going to ignite the tanks, and the tanks are going to explode. And that huge ship, I think it holds more than between 5,000 to 7,000, or maybe more, passengers. The ship is going to sink. And yeah, it's going to be total chaos, and it's going to be like a 9/11. It's going to be like a 9/11. and a Titanic and like a Hindenburg, but it's going to be filmed because now people have like smartphones, and during 9/11 they didn't. It's going to be filmed. And the boat's port, it goes like to different places in it, like it goes past Puerto Rico. It's gonna go down in like around the Puerto Rico Trench, which is, there's the Mariana Trench, which is like a really deep sea trench, but the Puerto Rico Trench is the second deepest trench in the ocean. So it's gonna sink, but its port is in Miami. And George, he was the previous SAC of Miami. But so they're worried when this boat is sinking. Then, of course, the FBI are going to have to appear on television and explain. And because people are going to think it's a terrorist attack. It's a terrorist that sunk the ship. But it's not. It won't be a terrorist attack. It's just mechanical failure with, some kind of natural disaster. But it's eventually going to happen. And then everyone's going to be focused on Miami and the FBI there. So George is the previous one, and but then if George is up on TV, even though he's on YouTube. You can find a lot on George. But then with this, then the people that got the gold from him are remembering him. They will. So there's another, the current SAC, there's also a problem with him. What I was shown. And so first, George is going to get a heart attack. But please, don't tell like a lot of people about Icon, because there's a lot of things that's needing to happen, and it's I need to, I'm a whistleblower, and I want to go into witness protection, so I need that my identity stays anonymous, but still I want that people know because I don't trust my own government to like handle things properly if I die, and I feel like they're going to cover things up. So I want that, somebody else outside my government is understanding. But yeah, when Icon sinks, the current SAC of Miami is not good either, because he did some sexual like assault in his past when he was in law school. I was shown that his name is Jeffrey Veltri, and he urinated on several women, like during like sexual encounters, but without their permission, and just out of nowhere they're getting urinated on. And then he went on and like worked his way up, but they remember that, but that they don't know that he's made it there, that now he's the SAC. But if he's on TV, then those people, they're remembering. So not only did he urinate on several people, he also gave somebody herpes too in their mouth. Which they were showing me a lot about, and I was getting confused, thinking that somebody that I knew had that, but which scared me. But in reality, it's Jeffrey Veltri gave that to somebody, and like a drunk, he met her at the bar, and she was like blacked out, and he took her home, and then she like left and didn't like really remember, where he lived or his information, but he like gave her that. And then he's also peed on those girls, and it was all around the same time, but it was a long time ago. But if he's on TV and one notices and another notices, and then it's a big chain reaction, and that's going on at the same time that the boat is sinking, and then the treasure is coming out of all of that time, and no, they can't. So um, they're gonna do something with George, like he's getting the heart attack, and then maybe those ladies that he urinated on are gonna come forward to complain, or like maybe Jeffrey's gonna die too. He might get something. Okay. Um, but I have to stay anonymous. I know that you'll be very curious about me, and you will. You will try to track me down, and because this is always happening. It's like anytime I like, you know, tell people the story, and then they like get interested, and they get like obsessed, and they like, it's not good. Because I'm going into witness protection, and like they want to see about my family, and like, it's always, there's always some, motivation for getting into a relationship or a baby or something. And I'm telling you now, that's not going to happen. So, but this is always what the motivation is deep down for people. They're curious, and what's her family? And I'm telling you now, my family is shit. They're not good. Like, I don't come from a good family, and that's how that they were able to take advantage of me for this long and keep me trapped in this, essentially like as a sex slave, because I'm getting viewed with that drone and I'm being sex trafficked. That's like some deep web, dark web type content. It's not good. So yeah, I could see that you could get interested, but I'm telling you, I can't. Like, I don't want you spying on me. Like, I'll tell you now, I've had just over the summer and for the past few months, like since the Trump assassination attempt, how many people have tapped into my phone? As Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, the Inspector General of Homeland Security, Joseph Kafari. Those two have been watching me, like, continually. Quincy Jones has been watching me. Antoine Patton has also had my phone tapped. And then, just other various people, like another FBI agent named Brian, who, he was one of the first people I told, like, here in Atlanta. He's tapped. So Brian Schaefer and Nate, after I accused him of like stealing the footage and passing it around, then of course he tapped my phone. And then now it's Elon and RFK Jr. And believe me, I'm not famous, I'm not rich. Okay? I'm not even well educated. I dropped out of university. Okay? I'm not a trust fund. I don't come from a good family. We're poor. But I have like a gift, a rare gift with music, which, maybe I'll share some of the DJ playlist that I put together, but I'll wait to do that. But I have like psychic abilities and musical abilities, and that's why I was selected for this. And I turned down a multi-million-dollar record deal, and because I didn't want to sell my soul or sell off my family members, and I tried to do the correct thing, which I felt in my heart was the right thing. And now I'm doing this mission, but it's not just for me, and like I don't want attention, and I don't want attention drawn to me. I don't want this turning into a big story or scandal, and I want to stay anonymous, and I want to go into witness protection. So, but people, they're, because like the celebrity, and Quincy, and then people are thinking it's like, oh, the money and like fame, but no, it like, and oh, women and sex and money, but that's what people are thinking, about it. But no, it could be a war, it could be, and the children of Gaza, and no. So yeah, there's the relationship thing and like stalking, and because they're doing it. The FBI, that's another thing that I was upset with. You saw Elon doing it. He's looking at all different people that came out of that cloud. That and he's stalking them. Why? Well, Elon doesn't need a payday, but okay, so if he doesn't, but what is Elon interested in? He's interested in getting a baby from somebody. And you can already see he's got a problem with this. Okay? It's he's looking for a girl he can get a baby out of. And he's done this with multiple women. And so has his dad, Errol. I don't want that there's a scandal. He's going and using that drone on people in the cloud and then choosing, okay, I want to have a baby with this one. That's okay. But Christopher was doing that, and then he's going and looking at the different women and then saying, I could do a payday with her. And then he's tap her phone and look at her through her phone camera. Christopher doesn't have the drone, remember? Here's the thing. If Christopher hadn't have stolen the treasure, Christopher would have taken that drone. He would have. He would have taken that drone and been using it. But he controlled himself because he knew he can't do that. And also, it's could be considered treason or war crime, or it's. But Elon just immediately stole it. But so yeah, the drone. Really, the only people that are having permission to use it are people that are in like satanic cults. So you don't like want to mess with that. There are unintended consequences with that, and it does have to stop. It will. And because they are going to just start hacking those people that are using it and saving the footage, and then they're going to try to extort those people for money. Because everyone else gets arrested and they get put on a sex offender list if they're putting a spy cam in a bathroom. Why does Elon Musk get to do it? No. He's not allowed either. But yeah, I wanted to tell you, like, don't try to like dig up about me, and like, because I really do have to keep like a low profile, and I am gonna be cutting off like for a while, but until the shit happens with George, I need to like just be cut off, because but the thing is, and then the thing with Jeffrey. But I just want to say that they could try to kill me, like, and then use the Jeffrey thing and like try to cover it up with, like, divert everyone's attention with Jeffrey. You know what I mean? That scandal, and then at the same time cover up all this shit with the drone. But yeah, that's kind of like why I wanted to make this video, so it gets released. If anything happens to me, that everyone knows, like, no, they're trying to cover up, or they're trying to divert people's attention, but she already knew that they would try to do this, because that's what they are. They don't want to be held accountable. And the FBI could delete my Facebook, and they could delete, all of the cloud footage. So yeah, I need to make videos, and people need to be aware. But I will continue to keep you updated. I'll write you. maybe send you more video messages, maybe, but I like don't don't try to track me down, because like I don't want to be watched. I don't want to be surveilled. And it's gone on for people have done that, and they've really taken advantage and really intruded on me. And I know it's people who are getting like curious, and they're like, it's exciting, but that's not how you're gonna like become my friend. If you go and tap my phone or start digging around about me, then I'm just not gonna trust you anymore, and we're not gonna be friends. Um, but if you're good and that you can control yourself with that, like, I will stay in touch, because you won't like my family. And anyway, I'm cutting off from everyone, and I'm leaving the country. And remember, I told you I'm going into witness protection. So it's not going to be a big public story, and I don't want a big public story, with anybody. And Elon's not allowed to do a big public story with anyone out of the cloud. He's not allowed to be involved in at all. And if anything, he might be getting raided for using that shit if he keeps it up. So, but anyway, I don't know how long. This is probably maybe over 2 hours of talking. I'm sorry. But now, you're more aware of like what's going on. But I know you're gonna like want to know about me, but just please like be patient and like try to respect my privacy. Really, if you can respect my privacy, I'll stay in touch. If you can't respect my privacy, I will cut off. But yeah, I did. I felt like I had to tell somebody else outside of my own government at this point, because every single person I've gone to get help with this, they've all stabbed me in the back. And these are the people who are supposed to be helping me, but I end up helping them. Because all of them they're all corrupt and with problems and personality disorders. And but I'm tired of it. I just need somebody to do, have my back. And like, yes, if anything happens to you where, and they try to cover it up, I'll let people know. Well, you told me this. You send me these videos. So they're saying this, but this is what you're saying, That's all I want. If I can have just somebody that can do that for me, then it's more likely that I'll live. Okay, so yeah, I'll end it like that. And yeah, thank you for taking the time. And I know you'll be curious, and yeah, you're probably gonna look for me. But I told you, it's better if you can, control yourself with that. And then if you can respect my privacy, I will, continue to keep you updated. Thank you for taking the time. And just keep this private. We'll keep this between me and you. And just, you gotta understand that this drone, there's a lot of unintended consequences if you try to mess with it. So stay away from it. But yeah, it's a problem. And Israel is a problem too. And yeah, our governments, they're not allowed to keep covering for Israel and keep, letting them get away with their crimes. So we're not going to let them get away. But if anything happens to me, everyone's knowing the truth. Yeah. Because, and even Elon is saying on his X, and the truth, there's nothing more important than, he's a hypocrite, okay? And I do think, like, deep down he does wish he's like that, but he isn't. He's an addict, okay? And he's got problems. Like, He's already like got an addiction to the drone. You saw all the garbage he's looking at, and then he's bullying my family. Okay, I don't. So I can't have anyone tap my phone again, or don't. Please don't do that. Okay. Thank you so much. And again, I'll be continuing to keep you updated. But yeah, when George passes away, just know that it's related to the treasure. But keep that private as much as possible. Um, yeah. And thank you again. And I will reach back out, soon. Thank you.